Hello and welcome to Speak PR. This is the show for anybody that's interested in getting their companies or their organizations noticed using some technologies and some tool sets that are really low cost and effective. Today I'm going to talk about Twitter because I noticed on CNN that the Potus Twitter account that currently is used by the President of the United States is going to be returned to the White House and transferred to Joe Biden's team on the day of inauguration, which means that Donald Trump, who's used the Potus Twitter potently, will lose that as a central part of his communications program. Of course, he also has the real Donald Trump as a Twitter handle. So I'm going to look today at what is a Twitter handle worth, and could you actually be making money from your Twitter handle? So let's just dive in because there are some interesting ways of calculating what your social media is worth. A report a few years back by PC Mag reported that a Twitter follower is worth over $2.50 per month. And InView Marketing has even created a rather elaborate infographic that reveals just how much a brand can benefit from a follow, like, or a tweet. And that is because Twitter and engagement with social media can actually impact the relationship that an individual has with your company or your brand in terms of it gives an indication of their buying intent. So 47% of people that are following a social media account are more inclined to purchase a product if there's a connection on social media. And another 13% will apparently most likely purchase products if they are following a particular brand. Question is, which comes first? Do they declare an intent to purchase before they follow, or do they follow and then have an intent to purchase? But either way, what it shows is that if you've got Twitter followers, you're looking at some 60% indicating that they've got a real interest in purchasing from your company if they're following you. So that's where this metric, this number comes from, that actually a Twitter follower could be worth real cash to you. But it can be worth cash also because there are dollars available in it as well. Twitter has its own advertising program, so people can promote their own tweets. Advertisers are obviously using this in the same way that on WeChat in China, you can have a sponsored tweet as well. So there are also some influencer marketing platforms such as Hyper and Tap Influence. And they provide a marketplace where if you meet their influencer criteria, they'll add you to their database, much like an agency would for example, for a model or for an influencer. Now, before we get too excited by this, Twitter engagement rates are by and large pretty low. In fact, the average Twitter engagement rate is actually between 0.5 and 1% only, so quite low. And Twitter engagement is defined as likes, retweets, replies, mentions, follows, profile clicks, any of these other actions that someone takes in relationship to your Twitter. Now, it is possible to be on Twitter and curating content only, and I'd mentioned that in one of my earlier podcasts about what kind of Twitter feed could you have. You could actually have a curation account. And there's one chap called Chris Sanchez who has so much popularity on Twitter where he's just sharing Uber facts that he's now on a $500,000 a year account on Twitter. So sharing trivial items on Twitter is earning this chap $500,000 a year. It's got to beat being a lawyer or a regular job. So I thought it'd be kind of fun just to check, because Jack Dorsey and his team have decided that the account of Potus belongs not to the current holder, but to whoever is in the administration, that I'd have a quick look and see what sort of deal Donald Trump is passing across to Joe Biden. So the @Potus account has 33 million followers, 0 favorites, 10,951 tweets, and 457,122 retweets, with an engagement rate of 0.07. So the estimated earnings per post, according to this rather nice calculator from influencermarketing.com, is $246,521 to $410,869 per post. So that's really quite a significant earnings. Now, if we look at Potus, the First Lady of the United States, Melania Trump has 16 million followers, 822,392 favorites, 1,299 tweets, so not that many really, and 223,984 retweets, an engagement level of 0.33%, and could be earning per post up to $201,175,000. So we can see that her engagement rate is 4 to 5 times higher than that for the president. So then I had a look at the real Donald Trump. Now, this account has got 89 million followers, 2 million favorites, and 58,583 tweets, with the total retweets of 562,407. But his engagement rate is less than half of Potus at 0.14%. So he's above the, if you like, the top end of the average, but still well below Melania Trump. But the estimated earnings per post up to $1 million. So really an amazing opportunity there to be making some money just on Twitter. And just because I'm in England, I thought I'd look at the @10 Downing Street, which of course is the Prime Minister. 6 million followers, 7,199 favourites, 15,888 tweets, only 3,963 retweets, but an engagement level of 0.01%. So that's is pretty much negligible. No one is even retweeting what the UK Office of Leadership is saying. So the estimated earnings per post is $73,000 approximately per post. So that's because there are so many followers, and even though the engagement is so low, that it's got some value to it. So maybe if the Chancellor's looking to make some money, it should be thinking about actually making some sponsored tweets. Now, if we take at the other end of the scale, we've got Lewis Hamilton, 6 million followers, 1 million favourites, only 934 tweets, but 94,598 retweets, an engagement level of 0.94%. So pretty massive engagement, and he could be earning up to $75,769 just for tweeting. Now, I thought I'd just be cheeky and put in the East West PR Twitter, which is just @East West PR. Now, I won't trouble you with all the numbers, but I could be earning $8.75 per tweet. I've got an engagement rate of 0.03%, which, whilst not great, is actually higher than number 10 Downing Street. I put in my @JimAJames Twitter account, and my engagement rate is much higher than the UK government's at 0.23%. Now, obviously, my number of followers is much lower, but I could be making $7.50 per tweet. Something to be thinking about, as I've got 2,250 tweets. I've been giving away money, haven't I? $14,000 worth of money I could have been making just on Twitter alone. Before I get ahead of myself, we just look at the most popular Twitter account on the internet, and this is Barack Obama, and his tweets could be making between $933,239,000 to $2 million per post. So it just goes to show that actually the value of Twitter and what you're sharing could actually be a business in itself. And if you are an incoming organization leader, if you're becoming the new president of the United States, you're actually inheriting a very valuable source of information. But also if you're inheriting an organization that is selling goods and services, if your social media is increasing the likelihood of someone to buy from your company by up to 60%, not only have you got a platform that could be generating real income because your following is worth money, but it could be translating into real cash, because if you use the social media as part of your funnel, then of course you have got a great lead magnet. So this conversation inspired by the CNN news that the @Potus account will go to the next incumbent president, Joe Biden, in January on inauguration, and that will leave Donald Trump earning up to $1 million per post, which is, still not bad, especially when he's tweeted 58,583 times. It could be the most profitable part of his business empire. Now, most of us will have to carry on making a living in other ways, but just to think about your Twitter and your social engagement accounts, not just as part of publicity, but actually building customer loyalty and interest and brand engagement. And the tweets themselves have got a value, but certainly have a value in terms of the way that they fulfill your brand promise and generate customer and sales leads. Thank you for listening to this episode of Speak PR. My name is Jim James, and this is the show for people who are interested in technology-assisted marketing. And I have a website at eastwestpr.com where we have a newsletter for free. You can also listen to this podcast and subscribe. If you're interested in a mastermind, come to the speakpr.co website and you can see this podcast and our mastermind for you to take part in so that you can build your brand using public relations. So thank you. My name is Jim James. And until we meet again, I wish you the best of health, a profitable business. And if you're tweeting tonight, just think about what those tweets could be worth.